Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is the Big Liquidation. I'm your host, Steve Strasza, Director of Research at All Star Charts. I'm joined today by our crypto expert, my crypto guy, Louis Sykes. Louis, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. Look, guys, I'm just so happy that you are here just to be with us this morning or this afternoon and just to talk about what's happened in this crypto market. The
Yeah.
market literally burned down the most worthless investments, only leaving the cream of the crop. And so I'm just so happy to be here with you.
It was almost like a validation for the good ones.
Exactly. Yeah,
So Louis and
precisely.
I,
And so, yeah.
hold on. Let's a little background for everybody. Louis and I came on about 3 weeks ago. It was actually October 9th because we're looking at the charts, the bullish evidence just piled up. The animal spirits are out. It's risk on stocks leading the way in equities markets. So it's the time and place for crypto to kind of take that driver's seat. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, but a lot of the altcoins, right, to finally join that party. And we said, we got to go on and talk about it. We got to tell everybody this is such a big opportunity in crypto. The very next day after we came on, it was what the biggest crypto crash ever, right? In terms of market capitalization. Is that fair to say, Louis?
Literally the biggest crash ever that the crypto markets have seen. And these markets can be volatile at sometimes. But on October the 10th, we saw the largest crash of all time. And now, what does that mean? It means that when other people are forced sellers, it's a great time to be taking the other side of that and to be buying.
I mean, they knocked these things lower. They bounced right back. The good ones are right back where they started. And I think there's an even stronger case for a breakout now after that shakeout. So let's get in here and talk about it. Louis has seven, key cryptos, the seven best cryptos for your money right now. They're all actionable, ready to go. Only the strong survive. These are some of your leaders. If you sign up for Louis Crypto, you get those reports today. I'm going to be buying them as soon as we get off of this video. Uh, but just hear this story. Louis, take it away, my friend.
I mean, before we jump into those seven investments in the crypto space that I think will rise without question, let's just talk about and just back up what actually happened here. Because on October the 10th, it was just exposed that 90% of the market was fake. Now, what do I mean by that? It was revealed that most of these investments are basically just market makers trading between themselves. It was totally artificial and inorganic. And so now, with all those liquidations out of the way, we've got confirmation about something that we always kind of suspected in this space is that most of these investments are actually worthless. Most of them are fake. But then amongst that, a lot of these quality cryptocurrencies, a lot of these quality technologies that are getting real demand, real adoption, they actually were dragged down with the trash and all of that carnage. And so I think that that is just an opportunity just sitting on a silver platter for us.
Yep. That's a great point. We joke sometimes 99% of these things are probably zeros, but that 1%, God, you better be in them. You better be in them, right?
Yeah, and we had a meeting just a few weeks ago, and I was just outlining what happened in this crash. And people were saying, "Hey, this crash actually wasn't that bad." But I just pulled some numbers and just said, "Hey, look, a lot of tokens actually collapsed 90% in the space of a few hours. This is just one of these investments. This is a
How
token
is
called
how is
Cosmos."
that possible? I mean, really? How many? It's just crazy. I saw the Atom chart. That's scary. Being in
Yeah,
something like
exactly.
that.
And so again, this just proves the fact that most of these markets are just people trading on leverage and speculating. There's no real activity or usage or demand for these things. So that's why you get these crashes like this, where these things can literally collapse and go to zero in the space of a few hours. But what that proves is that a good portion of the market is just absolute junk. You don't want to touch that. But then amongst all of that carnage, there was actually these really quality technologies that got dragged down within that. And here's one example I'm just going to be hinting to you throughout today. And what we're looking at here is just even with this crash, the value of this particular investment has continued to rise. More people have been investing in it. And as I'll be talking a little bit later in this conversation, it's actually getting a tremendous amount of volumes. There's a tremendous amount of usage here. And so the opportunity is that the market hasn't distinguished between the technologies that are actually good and the technologies that are worthless, and they're all trading on a discount right now. And most people are clueless because they're just buying all these random cryptocurrencies and random investments, not knowing that most of them are junk, but a few select quality ones are really just going to rise from the ashes.
Classic example of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Even, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, you got a nice dip, and they rebounded really well over the course of the past few weeks. No?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, the bull market is still on, right? The music hasn't stopped, it just paused. And
Would
so
you
that's
say
what a
there
lot of
was?
people get wrong.
Would you say there's really not even any tactical damage in the blue chip cryptos, right? Despite the big volatility there,
Exactly. Bitcoin never broke below its 2024 highs.
right?
Bitcoin never even crossed back below the six-figure mark. It's still
Yep.
trading well into the six figures. This bull market that we're seeing in the stock market is still intact. And so that's going to be driving a lot of these particular investments a lot higher.
It looks like a beautiful failed top to me. In fact, I see a lot of pretty looking failed tops when I look through the large cap cryptos.
Yeah, precisely. And so this particular crypto investment that I'm looking at right now, this one that's got a tremendous amount of usage and utility. I'll be talking a little bit about what it actually is later in the conversation, but this next chart just shows the disconnect. This white line is that really good cryptocurrency. That's the one that's really seeing a lot of usage and adoption. This
Wow.
blue line is an example of a cryptocurrency that I think is just junk. I think it's worthless. And it's just bleeding lower while this white line is already beginning to take off and already leaving people waiting at the station to get in. Because again, a lot of these investors in this market can see that these technologies have been offered at a discount within this most recent crash.
Wow. What would you say the percentage is that held up, Louis? When you look through like your total universe, like is it a handful? Is it a good number? Is it a basket? Is it just these seven?
This space got washed out, Steve. Let me tell you. I mean,
Yeah.
90% of these things literally collapsed 80% in the space of a few hours. And so when I say the seven cryptocurrencies, the seven investments that are actually worth taking a look at in this market,
Yeah.
I mean that literally. There's literally maybe just a handful, maybe just a dozen of particular investments that are actually worthy in this asset class
Yep.
because the entire space got completely washed out.
It's a nice mix, though. You have some new names in there. They're not all like legacy coins. You have some new momentum names in there that really have only been around this cycle. No? Am I giving too much
Uh,
away? Is that too much?
No, no, I mean, exactly. I mean, again, a lot of the legacy coins that you might have heard of,
Mm,
those are the ones that are actually the worst of them all because
I
they
know.
had a lot of marketing, they had a lot of hype in the early days, but then as time rolled on, they didn't actually execute on that. A really good example of that is Ripple. Now, when you sign up to this event a few days ago, I would have sent you a report of the five cryptocurrency investments that I think are just not worth buying on this dip at all. One of them is Ripple. It's been around for years and years and years, and it claims to be a new alternative to the banking system. But
Yeah.
the question we need to ask ourselves is what serious financial institution would trust a random cryptocurrency called Ripple over the Swift system? It's absolutely ludicrous. And so they haven't got any adoption at all. And
Yeah.
I think that one is just complete junk. And so it's just a really good example of the fact that there's some gems. There really are some gems, and we were talking about that today. But a lot of the space, I just think are junk.
No, that's great. So, hit the next slide. Who is Louis Sykes? He's the guy who's going to tell you which ones are a trap, like Ripple, right? And keep you out of the bad ones, the ones that could be down 80, 90% while you're sleeping, like happened, just 2 weeks ago. And then he's going to tell you the ones that are worth your money, that 5, 10, 1 year from now, with the way these charts look, are going to be significantly higher in price. When you pick the right cryptos, this is the sort of asset class where it's heavily bifurcated. In other words, the winners really win, the losers tend to go away or be down 90% overnight, like we talked about. And you really have to pick your spot selectively and know what you're doing. Louis has been doing this. How long have you been working here now, Louis?
Oh, I've been working here quite some time, Steve, quite some time.
Louis has been here working with JC and I at All Star Charts, helping build products for longer than anybody. One of the original members of the analyst team, became our crypto guy really while you were still in college. You know more about this asset class than anybody I know. He's published over 1,000 crypto research reports in that time. He's trusted by thousands of traders and investors worldwide. Louis has had almost a cult following from before he started working with us. He's been covering crypto for so long now, and he's known for really stripping out the noise and focusing on the big trends. Okay. Louis has kept me on the right side of crypto, cycle in, cycle out. So he's my go to guy. I buy everything he says, I stay away from everything he says. And you're from New Zealand. And you think
I'm
that
from
has
New
something to do
Zealand.
with how you're good at ignoring the noise. It's a peaceful
Exactly.
place.
I mean, there's a lot of noise in this asset class. Like I said, 90% of the space are junk. And so you almost just need to be removed from some of that noise. I mean, I'm not sure if you've noticed my funky accent in this conversation, but just being removed from the noise, living at the bottom of the world, I think is just a tremendous gift. And being in a market like the crypto markets.
You couldn't be in better hands with this guy, people. And I'll tell you why. What was this? A month, 2 months ago when you put on the bit deer? And that's the cool thing, right, about the crypto product. It's not just you need a Coinbase account or you're trading like on some sort of DeFi protocol. A lot of your, bullish theses, bearish too, you express via the equity market, no?
Yeah, totally. And so we're buying a lot of these cryptocurrencies, these crypto investments, but then we're also participating in the traditional stock market. We're
Yeah.
participating in a lot of these Bitcoin miners. We're putting options trades on them to really juice the returns. And a nice example of this just
Yeah.
a few weeks ago was these calls in BitDeer that returned nearly 500% in the space of 3 weeks because this
Right.
Bitcoin mining space has been hot. That's where we've been really fishing in. And it's not just BitDeer technologies. It's a whole host of them. It's all of these Bitcoin mining stocks that have really pivoted to artificial intelligence. Applied Digital is another good example of this. I
We
mean,
have
it put the trade
hundreds.
on at $10, 350% in the space of 3 months.
No, there's hundreds of options, but we'll get to that. I know, Louis, and we're going to have to say this louder for everybody in the back, that there are crypto traders watching us right now saying, why would I go trade in the equities market? I'm trading these altcoins, shit coins, they're moving 40, 50% in a couple days. That's where the juice is. Louis just said 460% in 3 weeks. That's real in the options market. This happens very quickly. If you pick a stock just as it's breaking out, it's easy to generate gains. I'm not going to say easy,
Hmm.
but it happens all the time, right? If you have a clean process that you can repeat, something like this. Louis did the bit deer. What'd you do? The 1219s? You still have a month and a half in that trade, by the way, and you're up 5x. So killer.
Not bad. And then even just a lot of these Bitcoin miners have just been really taking off. And so again, there's just a tremendous amount of opportunity, and we're really just taking advantage
Yeah.
of any ability, any investment that we can to make money.
And there's
Applied
more than
Digital is
that.
another good example, and then
Yeah.
Iron has just been an absolute beast. It's probably been one of the best trades that we've had just over these last few months, and it's up 460% just in the last 2 months when we were buying at $11, at $15. That's a crazy move, and it's precisely the type of gains and the type of returns that we're after in this corner of the market.
Last cycle, we had Mara and Riot and MicroStrategy. I swear there's an extra three, 400 crypto related equity vehicles. Just like what you're talking about, right? With the spot markets, actual crypto markets, you probably don't want to buy all of them, right? There's good ones and bad ones. But my God, the universe of crypto stocks that we have now, stuff like Robinhood, Coinbase, Galaxy. And then on top of that, Louis, as you know, MicroStrategy, actually, for example, has more equity funds than any other individual stock. A lot of
Wow.
these, oh yeah, there's like 20 of them. A lot of these Bitcoin miners have the double leveraged funds, inverse funds. There's all sorts of trading vehicles built around this space that are highly liquid today. That was not the case in the past. So I think we have more options than ever as crypto investors. And Louis has more places that he can go, right? More opportunities to express a long or a short thesis. Not just in the crypto market, but in the equities market. I think that's a really important point. And God, what a time to be alive as a crypto trader.
Exactly. And so, there's opportunities in the traditional stock market. But then right now, the biggest opportunity that I see is not within the stock market, it's within the actual crypto markets themselves. And so, again, we reiterated at the beginning of this conversation that 90% of these tokens are absolute junk. An example of this is Stellar. Now, this is a cryptocurrency that really got popular a few years ago for
Speaking
trying
of
to be a new
legacy,
payment method. Yeah,
speaking of
this is a
legacy
legacy
tokens,
one.
yeah.
This is one back from 2014, I believe, and it plunged 60% in this most recent correction. And just getting a little bit more granular here, 60% of the positions closed within a single day in this particular investment because people just got absolutely wiped out. And so this is one example of literally hundreds where people got purged because, again, these are just coins that have got no real utility. People are just speculating on the price of this particular token, but there's no real intrinsic value or intrinsic technology that's being adopted here. And so, again, most of this stuff is just complete junk.
Louis, and how do you view something like this, right? From a sentiment standpoint, you're saying all these crypto traders got absolutely wiped out. Somebody might be hearing us and thinking, how could that be a good thing?
Well, it's actually great for us because when other people are forced sellers, it's a great time to be buying. Just like that classic investing adage. What was it, Warren Buffett, Steve?
Warren
Buy
Buffett,
when there's blood on the streets. It's
that's it.
very, very classic. It's very contrarian. And it's the same thing in crypto markets where every time we see these crashes, people just getting absolutely thrown out of the
Yep.
casino because they've got no more chips to bet with. 9 times out of 10, the market will bottom and we'll just absolutely rip higher off of that. Think about FTX, guys. FTX was a major exchange that blew up and went bust in November of 2022. People literally lost tens of billions of dollars, but that marked the exact bottom of the bear market, and
Yep.
that ushered in the greatest bull market of all time because a whole bunch of people lost a whole bunch of money. So we've got that exact same setup, only this time we're seeing a bit of bifurcation. We're seeing this beginning to split off, where 90% of the market is still continuing to be lower, while the other 10% is just really just it looks great. It's got a whole bunch of utility and it's now trading at a major discount because it's been dragged out, it's been tossed out, and with the trash.
No, that's great. They don't bottom on good news, Louis. Crypto or anything else. They bottom on fear and panic. And it looks a lot like this chart right here with a big lower shadow. Boy, I think we would call that a scoop and score, wouldn't we? Wow.
Exactly. And
It's a little
Bitcoin
shake.
never lost its 2024 highs. And so the bull market's still on. The music
Yep.
hasn't stopped. It's only just paused. And this is
Yeah.
precisely the type of chart that I want to be looking for in this sort of market. And another great example of this, I've removed the title from this chart just because I've
Ooh.
only I've it's only for exclusive members only. It's only a part of the premium product where members can know the name of this particular cryptocurrency. But this
Yeah.
is one example. This is one of the seven that I think are really well positioned. It continued to hold its 2025 highs. It's shown a whole bunch of strength throughout this correction. And as you can see, the train is already leaving the station. It didn't trade for a discount for much longer. It's already up 30% just in the space of a few days since I put on the
Yeah.
trade to my members. And I think it's going significantly higher. I think this one is going to go 3x by the first
Yeah.
half of next year. And the reason why that is
3x,
because
3x by next year.
3x in the first half of next year. And the reason
Yeah.
why I say that is because they've actually solved a real world issue, which is unlike 90% of this market. So you
Wow.
might be wondering, Louis, what is this chart that you're showing me? What is this technology? What actually is it? It's a new way to actually make an exchange. And so there's always been this trade off. There's been a trade off with decentralized exchanges. They're either really fast or they're either really slow. And so there's a trade off there. The more decentralized they are, the slower they are. Now, this particular technology has almost broken that trade off. It's snapped the proverbial seesaw that you can see here. They're both a decentralized exchange and they're also incredibly fast. And so the amount of adoption that this particular technology is getting is just crazy. I mean, Steve, tell me what you think about this.
Yeah.
This particular exchange is actually seeing more volumes per month than Robinhood. And they're generating about $1 billion of revenue. Now, this isn't accounting revenue, so it's a little bit different, but still, they're generating about $1 billion of revenue every single year. and they're generating more volumes, trading volumes than the entire Robinhood platform, this particular technology. This is
No, that's
precisely the
incredible.
type of fat pitch that I want to be looking at.
I love that you dig in and do this kind of work, Louis. Because you really do. You have to separate the good from the bad in this space, and this is a killer story. I love this. I'm so in. Go back to the chart because this is how you buy failed tops. By the way, yeah, this is exactly where you enter a chart like this. And look, I like to think that I'm good at mystery charts. I wouldn't have known what this is. Louis told me right before we came on. I just got these. I just got this information a minute before the rest of you guys. This is a failed top, and it looks like some of the speculative growth leaders, the patterns that they were set up in just a week or two ago before they took off. This looks like a new nuclear or a quantum computing stock. This looks like a market leader, is what it looks like. Love a fail
And you
top.
think about all the revenues that these guys are generating, $1 billion annualized
Yeah.
over a year. Now, here's the kicker. 97% of those revenues are going immediately into token buybacks automatically.
Oh, that's great.
97% of the fees they generate on the platform immediately going back to buybacks. And so there's this tailwind. And so again, this one has got a tremendous amount of mind share and a tremendous amount of attention in the crypto investing community right now. And it was only trading at a discount,
Yeah.
literally just for a few weeks. And unlike all these other cryptocurrencies that have just been bleeding lower, this one is being bought up aggressively. We put the trade on just last week, and it's already up 30%. I think this one is going to 3x by the next by next year. Because look, these sort of trades don't come around all that often.
Yep.
We only want to be striking at the fattest of pitches, and this might just be the fattest pitch that I see in the entire crypto market right now.
I love that. You got me excited. I'm gonna have a big position in this as soon as we get off. And it's like this is rare in crypto that there's some real utility already here. This company's printing money and buying back shares. Basically, this is like a Mag 7 business. This is like one of your Mag 7s of crypto.
Yeah, exactly. I
How
mean,
many
yeah, that's yeah,
how many tokens are doing something like this? Not many.
not many, Steve, not many.
There's gonna be more in the future though. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And it's not just this particular token. There's a whole bunch of technology that's being adopted by Wall Street now. There's a whole bunch of talks about this whole real world asset theme. So taking
Yeah.
traditional assets like commodities, money market funds, bonds, and taking them on chain where they can be settled without the need for a middleman. They're trading 24/7. And there's a whole bunch of technologies that are enabling that. And so this again, this
Yeah.
is the second cryptocurrency that I just identified to my members and put the trade out on. And again, even this last cryptocurrency that I've mentioned, it just last week, not only did it get listed on Robinhood, but it also began listing equity perpetual futures. So these are equity vehicles that are trading 24/7. So this could be at the forefront of the 24/7 trading hour revolution in the stock market. And so again, there's a whole bunch of these technologies that are really being adopted quite aggressively. And even Paul Atkins, the SEC chairman, he dropped this project crypto just a few months ago saying that he wants
Yeah.
to make America the crypto capital of the world, and tokenization and real world assets, it's all a really big part of that. And these technologies that are really getting adopted quite significantly have just been thrown out in the trash with all of these other junk tokens. And so again,
Yep.
I think that's just a silver platter of opportunity here. And a lot of these tokens can just, move upwards of 3 or 4x in the first half of next year when this bull market really starts going. If Bitcoin breaks out to all-time highs, which I think is coming in these next few weeks, I mean, man, these things are really going to start taking off and they're not going to leave anyone behind.
The tokenization space is something that I thought was cool. I went to all these crypto conferences last cycle and I was like, tokenization, that's going to happen. But it didn't
Mhm.
then. And it's because regulators weren't on board. Now they are. That's the big difference this cycle. Not only are regulators on board, there's some great technology coming out of that industry. And Wall Street is going to adopt it. It's really looking like. So that would just be, I mean, massive, absolutely huge as an industry.
Yeah. And just the mind share that this is getting right now, the amount of people talking about it, it really reminds me
Yeah.
of this trade that we put on and another one of these real world asset vehicles. Now, this particular project didn't work out, but still, this was a trade that we put on just days after or days before the Trump election last
Wow.
year. This was another one of these real world asset trades. And the thinking here was that this administration was going to be really crypto friendly. There's going to be a
Yep.
whole bunch of friendly crypto regulation. We put the trade on, and this thing literally rallied 300% in the space of 2 weeks just after we put the trade on. And so, again, these are the types of moves that we're after, and particularly with this new regulatory environment that we're in. This administration's really got a pro crypto stance. I think these are
Yeah.
precisely the types of moves that could really happen. And all it needs is just one headline, just as the catalyst, because these things are small enough that they can really just pop like this in the space of a few weeks.
Yes. So what's the name on this one? Can you give the name away?
Yeah, this one was a previous trade. This one was
Yeah.
Mantra. So this one was another one of these
Which,
real world asset tokens. But
yeah.
look, this one didn't work out. But what the thinking here was that there was going to be a whole bunch of attention in behind this name, and it really worked out in the short term. And so again, we're seeing that
Right.
exact same situation play out in a lot of these
And,
in these seven tokens that we've been talking about today.
and Louis, you know the stories behind these. You know which ones are memes, which ones are getting pumped. You know what's going on. You know if you want to call it fundamentally speaking, but you also know the chart patterns, and a lot of times those patterns, like something like this, will dictate different time frames. Do you have a preference, or you'll go anywhere and any time frame for a trade?
I mean,
Like you'll
yeah,
take quick hits,
I'll take
right?
both sides. I mean,
Yeah.
look at the bit dead trade that we put on. That was short term. That was just the space of a few weeks. Some of
Hmm.
these other trades that we're putting on, particularly in these other crypto investments that we've been talking about today, we're talking about over 6 months. And so
Yeah.
again, just as long as these things are trending high and there's ability to make money in them, I want to be involved.
Love it.
And so look, I think one issue here in crypto, and you guys might have experienced this, is that even though it's as easy as ever to really get involved in this market, it seems increasingly more complex. There's all these new concepts and all this jargon that's constantly put out there. And I think a lot of people are just really confused by that. There's all of this junk that we've been talking about today that's just there's so much junk to pick from. Where do you even find these cryptos to be buying? Which exchanges? And then you're just paralyzed by all the chaos. And so I experienced it firsthand when I first got into this space. I was in your position. I was
Yeah.
thinking, okay, what do these things actually do? What even is a token? Where do I actually buy these things? What's a blockchain? What are all these crazy words and conspiracy theories that I'm hearing? I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
And it's only getting more complex as we're getting stuff like tokenization and real world assets and artificial intelligence. It's only going to get more complex.
The,
And so
the
that's
truth
precisely why I'm
is,
here is to
it,
just distill that for you.
no, the truth is it's easy to lose money in this space, right? It's easy to do the wrong thing. So you really need a guy like Louis, somebody who's just completely plugged in, following everything, following the headlines, following the tape every day, know what's going on. There's a million new vehicles every time I look. There's 100 new crypto tokens launched, I feel like, every week, still, even these days. You need somebody to be paying attention to track it for you. Otherwise, I think the risk in crypto is simply too big to not have an expert or be an expert or have a guy to help you.
I think that's a great point, Steve. And the reason why is because the crypto market is more primed than ever just to bounce back quite hard.
Yeah.
We did the math. 75% of the time, crypto is significantly higher just 3 months after these liquidation cascades, these crashes that we talk about.
Yep.
75% of the time, it's significantly higher. And you can just look at the forward returns. These things are just really primed. Think about it like this way. The rubber band has really just been stretched in the opposite direction, and it can only be held that long before it just releases and snaps. And where does that rubber band go? It goes slingshots in the other direction. So that's precisely what's happened now. Everybody's literally got taken out. We've cleared all the leverage. We've purged all the really unintelligent traders out there, and these markets are just primed. That
So
rubber band is stretched, and now it's already beginning to move higher.
So there are really two risks in crypto for investors to consider, right? You have to think there's a risk to the downside and being in the bad ones, being in the laggard cryptos, right? Then traders got wiped out in 2.5 weeks ago. And then I would say there's a bigger risk in not being in the best ones, especially now as they're leaving the station. That's what Louis is talking about. This is the moment to act. These cryptos are just now breaking out of massive, really multi-year patterns. Not going to name any names, but I could think of some right now that are breaking out some of the prettiest bases in the market. The risk is to the upside. The risk is in not being in these trades. When it's a true sustained bull market for crypto, here's what happens. Cryptos outperform anything else, any other alternative, any other asset class. We've seen this cycle and cycle again as long as Bitcoin's been around. That's been the case. Real bull markets, this is the asset class to be in. And we're thinking it's starting right now. I love it. Liquidation cascade. That's a cool phrase.
And look, the next leaders are already moving, and so these trades are already leaving the station. That this is another great example. This is actually the third the third investment of the seven that we've been talking
Nice.
about today, and it's already moving. We put this trade on just last month, got in at a third of a cent, and so these
Wow.
things have got a lot of zeros, I know. But look, the reality is that the percentage gain, 160% in the space of 5 weeks. And this is another one that we're just putting a trade on just this week because, again, a lot of these leaders are already moving. This one's got a very similar story to the other ones that we've been talking about today. It's got
Yeah.
adoption. This one actually, Steve, is actually a picks and shovels play to the meme coin market. And so
Oh,
again, the meme coin
love it.
market's really difficult to trade, but what better way to own it than actually
Yeah.
just owning the casino itself? This particular chart is the casino of the meme coin market, and it's already moving 160% in the space of 5 weeks. That was the first trade in this name, and we just got in just a few days ago. And so again, these next leaders are already moving after this crash.
I always say the best fundamental analysis is like high level or back of the napkin math. Like, don't think too hard, don't break your brain, right? It's stuff like this. Hey, meme coins are a big deal. Don't buy the meme coins. Half of them are going to zero. Buy the platform for meme coin or whatever it might be, right? Buy the picks and axes in meme coins. Great mind, Louis. Good for you. And I'll say the other thing, and just looking at some of these levels in these charts for these big seven trades that Louis is talking about, it's not that they've like left the station. They're actionable. Every single one of these charts is actionable right now. Just in certain ones like this, you're getting confirmation, right? You're getting that feedback from the market that yeah, we were right to enter a month ago. It's already working in our direction. But like these things have a long runway ahead of them when I look at these charts.
Yeah, precisely, Steve. And so, look, guys, if you want to trade crypto alongside me, if you want to understand those seven tokens that we've just been talking about throughout this conversation that got dragged down and got thrown out with the trash with all the other junk that got sold off and are now worth owning, are now actionable at these levels. And I think a lot of these things can move upwards of 4x by the first half of next year. And you
Yeah.
want to get trade alerts every single week, every time I see a new opportunity in this market that's worth investing in. Well, we've got the All Star Charts crypto. And so, look, we've been covering the market since 2015, which is really early. A lot of these people really only getting into the crypto market now that it's popular. We're the
Yep.
OGs. We were here long before long before the crowd showed up.
Yep.
And look, we've had a really amazing record in this market where we've just been combining just this just taking a really simple approach to this market, understanding these trends, understanding breakouts, not diving deep into the noise and just delivering the most actionable insights. And so, I mean, we alerted the readers to the end of the bear market in November of 2022. I mean, as soon as FTX blew out, Steve, I was just like, you know what? Now is the time. We really need to start buying, and particularly when Bitcoin failed to hold that
Yep.
breakdown, and that ushered in the beginning of the next the greatest bull market that crypto has ever seen. And so, look, we've developed this hub to leverage the crypto markets to its maximum potential, and so that's why I'm really happy to hear just all the feedback that I'm getting every single day, and I'm really happy to be at this event today, Steve.
No, it's awesome. And I'm happy to be here with you as always. Tell everybody what they get when they sign up, Louis. This is great. I mean, there's something every day. Louis is just glued to his screens. I don't know how you write so much. How many trades do you think you're sending out a week to?
Too many at the moment, Steve. I mean, look, these markets are just incredibly hot,
Education.
and there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. Education
Yeah.
as well.
You do
Um,
really education
just
so well.
yeah, just
Full
outlining what
support.
these things actually do as well. Just educating people because I think the industry has done a terrible job of educating people what these things actually are and what they do and what their value proposition is. So that's what I try to do as well. But here's what you get. When you sign up, you get instant access to the seven crypto investments that we discussed today.
Yep.
You also get emails in your inbox throughout the week with new trades and tokens that I think are viable for opportunities, and the tokens that are actually worth owning. Because remember, 90% of the space is junk, but that select few group of tokens, those are the ones that really provide the outsized returns. You go on Twitter and you
Yep.
have a look at all of these crazy gains that people are posting about on crypto.
Yeah.
Those are those very select few tokens, and those are particularly the basket that we focus on. And so in addition to that, you also get 4 reports on how to trade crypto. And so again, trading crypto can be a little bit more complex.
Yeah.
What exchanges to use, what orders to use, how to think about crypto in an overall portfolio. You'll get 4 reports sent through over these next few weeks on how to trade crypto. And then this is my favorite thing throughout the week, Steve. This is my favorite
Yep.
thing. You do the same similar thing with your breakout multiplier members. You go on a live stream, you interact with all the members every single week. They're asking you questions about trades, about what you think about the market. The same thing for the crypto markets happens at All Star Charts Crypto every single Thursday in the afternoon. We have our live interactive live streams where you can just ask me anything that you want to in this crypto market. Hell, I even have people, Steve, just asking me, what hikes are you going on in New Zealand? Are I going on a holiday in New Zealand? Where should I
You
be
hang out.
going?
Yeah, you get to
Yeah,
know your
exactly. And to hang
members.
out.
Yeah, you talk it out. You talk markets. You talk about food. You talk about what you're doing that weekend. Whatever, right? No, it's
Exactly.
good. And these
And so
and
you
these
get direct email
ebooks.
access to me. And so again, if you've got any
Uh,
questions, whether it's crypto or whether it's what my favorite recipe is at the moment, I just made a beautiful chicken stock last night. My God, it tastes so good. Then you can just email me, what's your chicken stock recipe, and I'll be there to help you. But look, we provide all these trade ideas, and you've got direct access to me. So any questions that you have about these markets or about any of these investments, feel free to shoot me a line.
and these ebooks are done so well. Louis is going to educate you throughout, not just with stuff like this and educational resources, but just in like reading his daily notes. And the truth is, guys, Louis has made me so much money, incredible amount of money, through all these cycles since we've been together over the years. And really, it takes one trade. He's super active. He's finding the leaders. He's finding the best opportunities. And you sign up for crypto, show them the deal, Louis. You sign up. We don't run deals like this often. You're getting in for half off. You make that money back in one trade, really. That's just how the cryptos work. You would have made that money in Deer calls.
Easy.
So that's
Easy.
it. 5.99 if you pay quarterly. Join today. You can call Mary, or you can click the link below. But we usually sell this for 12.50 quarterly. So shop in the deals.
Exactly. We've also got the 50% off the annuals as well. And so I just want to reiterate that the moment you sign up, I'm going to send you the report that I just sent to my members literally last night, actually. I was up at midnight just writing this report because, again, I'm just glued to the screens of what's happening in these crypto markets. I sent that report to them last night with those 7 cryptocurrencies, those 7 crypto investments that I think are really worth owning after this event, after this crash that we've seen where they've just been dragged out with all of these other trash tokens. You'll get those trades and those
You know,
tokens, the names of the tokens that we've been talking and hinting throughout this entire conversation, the moment you sign up with this 50% discount.
it's a killer list. Louis does killer work. And I just thought of do you think it suits you living where you do on the other side of the world? Because you always get to be awake and working through this overnight crypto volatility. I mean, I sleep through, I wake up, I hear about it. I ping you, Louis, what happened? But you're always awake for those overnight sessions, right?
Yeah, exactly. And those are some of the craziest volatility come in the
Yeah.
Asian hours when the American guys are fast asleep, they're not
Hmm.
managing their accounts, they're not at the screens. That's where I come in. I'm looking at the screens and the volatility comes in. Steve, one thing I've noticed is that the craziest volatility just over the last 2 months has come
Yeah.
on Sunday night, and that
Dude,
sets the stage
yes.
for the entire week. And
Yes.
so that's precisely when all the American people are just asleep, that they're not able to man the desk because it's midnight over there. But those Asian hours, let me tell you, that's when the craziest volatility happens, and I'm monitoring every single trading hour.
I know you are. And we talk about it. I go to Louis, I said, what the hell's happening? What happened there? And I know you know this, but there's great signal there for other markets also. Like there's some intermarket information there that'll tell you, how are equities going to trade this morning? What's the risk on trade going to look like in US stocks, right? Cryptos are a great signal for that. And I know that you know that because we've done a lot of work on it together over the years.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, just extending on the theme of this conversation, there's a lot of these tokens with real technology and utility, and the
Yeah.
fact that big money managers and traders and investors around the world are now looking to the crypto markets to get a gauge on where risk is for the
Yep.
next week to allocate their money. That's just a sign that the market is maturing. These things are really getting adoption, because these things are just great signals in the weekend when everything else is closed. Crypto never closes. It's always open. It's 24/7. There's always opportunity there. But that opportunity means that it's always pricing in risk. It's always pricing in opportunity. And so
Yep.
everybody around the world has their eyes glued to crypto right now.
No, I love it. And look, I'm glad to have the institutions on board because they pump prices, they create higher prices for the rest of us, and they also create liquidity. I mean, the amount of opportunities and options and different alternative investing alternatives that we have as crypto traders and investors today is absolutely wild. And I think you got to thank a lot of these institutions, a la BlackRock. Coinbase is an institution too. You got to thank the big players in the space for making that happen. I'm happy. I love it as a trader. Give me more options. Give me more liquidity. Come buy my stock. Thank you.
Exactly. I mean, everybody who's been right on this crypto bull market has been right, but for the wrong reasons. Because again, a lot of these institutions are in. So when we're talking about stuff like tokenization,
Yeah.
when we're talking about these new exchanges that are coming in that are actually solving some real world issues and are
Yeah.
creating the conditions necessary for stuff like 24/7 hour 24/7 trading, those are precisely the types of setups that you want to be focused on right now. And so again, there's just we ought to be thankful that a lot of these institutions are in because, again, now that they're in, they now have an incentive to be driving these things higher. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin be breaking out in these next few days.
I love it. Listen, everybody, we're going to shut this thing down. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. The bottom line is everybody needs a guy. I got a bond guy, I got a biotech guy, I got a commodities guy. And Louis is the crypto guy. You're not going to find a better guy. I trust him with my crypto life and have been for a long, long time now. I can't wait to get off this call and put on these 7 trades. Or in some cases, I do own some of them, so I did okay there, right? Get heavier in those that I already own. And I think you all should too. Trust me, I've been following Louis. I've been putting on his trades for many years now. You get your money back fast. Running a 50% discount. Now is the time to join. We think this train is leaving the station. Louis, any final thoughts, closing thoughts for everybody?
No, I just want to thank you all just for joining, and I really look forward just to seeing you on the inside. And just looking forward to interacting with you guys a little bit later in the week during our interactive live stream. And so again, just really appreciate all of your time. And so from where the sun rises first from New Zealand, I thank you all for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody.